read the content for this week, the story that was posted, and also just have a look at the questions, the reflection questions, those that also pertain to our thoughts on the process or the state of the family and what our own influence has been to our own families. So welcome, Pascal. Pascal,
Oh, okay. Um, I don't know if my audio is really well.
it is.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. My name is Pascal Nobert, and I'm happy to be joining you today. Today I'm going to speak about week one, focus on holiness in the family. But before that, I want to, in retrospect, just talk about the theme of the Lenten campaign 2021. The theme of this year is rebuilding our nation through inclusive and accountable governance. And it is come, let us rebuild our nation. Obviously, there are so many things that have been happening around us this past few months, this past few weeks. And I don't know what, as an individual, you guys are feeling, or how you feel as if we are in this country. Personally, I feel like we are living in a fragile peace, a country where it is very polarized, and our leaders are feigning a working democracy. They're feigning a working peace, but deep down we know within our hearts, that's which is my opinion, that we are somewhat broken. So there's so many things that are happening, and I believe the bishop conference thought wise to give us this idea that the theme of this year ought to be rebuilding our nation through inclusive and accountable governance. This in line comes with the idea about uh, corruption, ideas about things to do with insecurity. Just recently, there were a lot of things that were happening in Baringo, Capedo. So there's so many things that have been happening, and unless we really focus more on how we can be accountable in governance, this is not only on the part of our leaders, but also to us as individuals, then we can really move this country forward. The other bit that I think we tend to pass is because the bit about all this thing, if you look at all the weekly focus of the Lenten campaign, everything is talking about holiness, everything is talking about moral formation. So basically the focus about all these things is basically based on moral formation. When you talk about family, there's recent things that have been happening, young people killing their own parents, young people killing their own siblings. So as a country, we find ourselves that we've lost the moral compass. There's that bit of conscience in terms of integrity as a moral tenet, and also as an administrative principle that we can recognize for ourselves. You find like the bishops say that integrity is a moral tenet and an administrative principle that, if respected, help us recognize the need for an upright and selfless service to each other, regardless of one's social status. But we live in a country where we've been made to know, if you're rich, you're rich. If you're poor, you're poor. So in such like cases, we need to find ways in which you can bridge this gap. We can find these people to be comfortable. It will be really right that even if you have so little, but you wake up one morning and you're so happy, you know what your future holds, you know what you're going to do, you know what you're going to eat, regardless of your social status, but you are comfortable wherever you are. You live in a good house. You live in a house where there is water. You live in a house where um, there is quantity in terms of electricity, a place where you don't have to worry of how you're going to get your next meal. Then that is where you're heading to. So I'll just move straight now to week one. So week one is basically about holiness in the family. I think for all of us who have gone to school, growing up, you find that when you are in class one, there's always this picture of the Kamaus and the types of families that we used to have. We used to have the nuclear family, we used to have the extended family, and every other time we used to be told that the nuclear family has a father, mother, and a child. There was a child or two, I can't remember really well. But we find that in most cases, this the family is changing. The idea about the family is changing. But one thing that is remaining constant is that the family is the central unit of the society. We all come from a particular family. We come, even sometimes if we come from different places, we come from different groups. But at the end of the day, we come from a place. There is an identity. If, let's say, I call Lynn has an identity. Lynn can trace a background to where it started. If you talk about brother Steve can trace his background to where he started. We talk about Mercy, we talk about Val, Paul, and Irene. Everybody has a way to trace where they started. So you find, like, when we talk about the society, we talk about a community of people, then this is like the fabric that holds the society together. And when we consider it, you find like the church considers the family um, something close to its core, because you find even Jesus talking about it in several scriptures, though I can't quote them because I didn't cram them. But you can go back and check. So there is this thing bit that they talk about in the Lenten booklet. Basically, they tend to focus more on children. They tend to talk about how children are being formed in terms of character. I know that most of us have and know that there's so many things that have been happening right now. Schools are burning, children are beating teachers, um, people are killing each other. So there's so many things that are happening, and there is a problem. There is something that has broken in the family. That's why you find like people are struggling to find who they are, to actually reconnect back to the world after this pandemic. So you find like in the Lenten campaign and the focus for this week, you find like they're writing, when children do not learn to respect their parents, they lack the foundation virtue of respect, and consequently, they do not respect any other authority. So I don't know if in your families, wherever you are, you have that one sibling or that person that you know that when they're being told to do something and they don't obey, or they don't respect whatever happens, they don't respect the hierarchy of the family. It's funny because in an African setting, we always know the father has to lead, but it is no longer the case. Things are changing. You find like the mother has the say, or maybe the elder brother has the say, or the elder sister. Things are changing. But you find like if somebody grows up in a setting where they can't respect whoever is above them, then this thing, they grow up with it until it reaches a point where they are now responsible for themselves, but they still have problems in terms of respecting authority, and that can lead them into a lot of problems. So when the family becomes the setting for evil and ungodly acts, this eventually will poison our very society. Remember, I've said that the family is the backbone of the society. So if you don't get this right, where it all starts, then we are having a problem. We are bringing up a generation that is really problematic. We are bringing up a generation that does not understand itself. So this is a big issue, and we need to address it at that point. That's why it's basic. You'll be told that the family, I believe, what charity begins at home. This phrase can be related to so many things. So you find like Saint Teresa is also saying that if you accept that a mother can kill her own child, how can you tell other people not to kill one another? So that's like posing a question. She's asking you. And I think when we reach that point of giving reflections, we need to ask ourselves, if a mother can kill their own child, and then we tell other people not to kill one another, will this really make sense? So the root cause of our social problems is the breakdown of family values. People have been talking about, I've been hearing a lot of political commentators talking about the BBI. People are talking about we don't have an identity as a country. It's basically because I think, in my opinion, we lack a national value. We don't have something that we draw back to as a country and say, this is what Kenya stood for. Has been in our culture. Because basically we don't have a family value. I think there's a breakdown in terms of our family values. And this thing is even reflected in terms of our national approach and everything that is happening. That's why I think the Lenten period is talking about, let us rebuild our nation. And basically we start by rebuilding our nation, we start by rebuilding our hearts, because it is you and I to make that change. If you don't rebuild yourself, you reconnect yourself, you break yourself to rebuild yourself, then we'll never reach to that point where we're going to rebuild our nation. So there's this bit I'll want to share about this picture. Um, this picture about the family. So you see, we've talked about how the family is broken down. We find like the moral fabric of the family is broken down. There are a lot of things that are happening, and we just want to go through the pictorial that you can see. There is a lady um, who is depicted to be like a school child, and then she's pregnant, and then there is a depiction of a man strangling a woman holding a fist, and then you know this this hairstyle obviously, and then there is smoke, and then something like looks like a depiction of of alcohol, and then we have kids playing, watching the screen, and then we have basically parents shouting at each other, and then there's that picture of a phone and Baba Zawadi, habari Zawadi, habari Mama Zawadi. So you see that, and then you open the page. So that's the first page, and then the next page you see now a family where now there are elders. There is a mother and a father and a mother, and then you see the children. Basically, if you can see the transition from page one to page two, there are elders who have come to talk with the parents. You see where the breaking, where the problem starts. The parents do not have time for the kids, and I believe you've read the story about Tarajio and Subira. So Tarajio and Subira met in college as students, and then after graduation, each got a job, and with their parents' blessing, their friendship progressed into marriage. So there are so many things, and I think I'm still a young guy, and there's so many things that we've witnessed in our families, because it reaches a point where now the focus is about ensuring that we survive as kids. The focus is about ensuring that the money is there and all this stuff. So there's a breakdown, and I think this session would have been really good if you also had our parents in this session. Though I've seen a religious nun around, and we have priests and brothers. They can perhaps touch on this also. So you see, this is like a depiction of the story. If you read that story, let me stop share and then share with you a different screen. I don't know if everybody else saw. That is week one, and then this is the story. So I don't know how many of you have read it. If I want to read it all, it will take a lot of time. So you find like they talk about Taraji and Subira met in college as students after graduation. So there is a story about Taraji and Subira. They meet in college, and after college they graduate into friendship, and then the friendship progresses into marriage. And then obviously, as you've realized, there's a lot of things that are changing in terms of cost of living, and it's affecting everyone's. This is a story that we can all relate to. And then you find like continuous rise and the expenses for the family. So you find like there's a point when you had so little and everything looked fine. You had enough. Recently we were sharing with a can I say, I was sharing with a lady who is very close to my height, and we were talking about those days when we used to have so little, and then it used to be enough for everyone in the places where we used to stay. But then again, right now you may have a lot, but then it seems that it's never enough. So you find like our parents are constantly looking for ways to provide for the family. They are doing so many things. They have so many business. Um they want to thrive as a family because everybody has a dream and you want to reach that dream. And this dream you can't fulfill it without money. So you find like as we are busy, our parents are busy chasing money, they forget that they gave birth to children. And as we grow up, basically, I think we all need that attention. We all need that parental love. And I'm sorry for those who lost their parents at an early age where they couldn't feel it. But there's that gap that always needs to be filled. And the parents play a bigger role, or the guardian. So these are things that we need to check. So the story that you've seen there in this picture, you see now when the parents are being brought down by these elders, they're being told, they're being asked, where did you go wrong? Mm? Why is it that your child is pregnant? Why is it that your boy is into drugs? Why is it your twins are just looking into screens? Yes, there's so many things that are happening. Vitu nzuri nzuri, TV ni sawa. There are a lot of movies. Children are looking for ways in which they can get themselves busy. Sincerely, I miss those days when you used to just go leave school and then you go to the fields and play. You play football. The girls were playing kati, wengine walikuwa wanacheza sijui nini, but it was playing. TV by the time wanafika kwa nyumba ushalala. I'm seeing kids growing up in my neighborhood and I feel pity for them, but at the same time you tend to understand the situation where they're living in. These days you find parents will tell their children that usiende nje ucheze. The same parent, mtoto ana grow up without knowing anything that is happening in their surrounding and they're like, mtoto wangu ni pumbavu, or you're not doing enough to expose yourself. Yet as a parent, wewe mwenyewe ndio you close that avenue for that child to discover themselves. So I don't know. I'm not a parent yet, but I think from what we are seeing around, there is a problem. There is a problem in terms of how we are being raised, as compared to how perhaps your parents, our parents now, and their parents raised them. There is a bit of a disconnect. People have become more individualistic. Everybody is thinking about what benefits me, what will benefit my child, and something like that. I was sharing with our story of how we used to be caned, and I think Steve can also admit to this. Sisi, when we were growing up, place umefanya kosa, that's where that punishment inaisha hapo. Unaona, there's nothing like you're waiting for your mother to come ndio to solve issues. Hapana, shida ilikuwa inaisha hapo place kumi. So a child will grow up knowing that msee wao mkubwa akiniambia hapa shida ni mbaya, wanafanya nini, they correct. But these days I'm seeing like where I stay, sometimes mtoto akuje atusi mwingine and then the mother will come out and defend na seme mtoto mdogo ametusi, like even like a house help who is 20 years 30 years older, ama ongeleshe mzazi mwingine vibaya, and then the mother comes out anasema ati mtoto wangu akifanya hivi ufai kumongelesha vibaya, unafaa kuja kuniambia. I don't know what has changed, but for me it makes no sense. If a child is wrong, is doing something wrong, they're doing something wrong. So I don't know, but this one is debatable. We can really find where is the disconnect, shida inatokelezea wapi. So if you read the story of Zawadi, it is a brief one, very brief. It talks about the different areas where the things that we go through as families. Perhaps wherever you are feeling lonely. You're feeling like your parents do not understand you. You're feeling like those you stay with do not understand you. You're feeling like in this world you are all alone, and you're looking for ways to make yourself busy. And in one way or the other, sometimes it might be unlucky, sometimes you might be doing something as a retribution, and then it backfires on you. Just ask yourself, what is it that you're going through currently and you feel like you really need somebody who can guide you through that process. Sometimes we tend to also drawing from my own experience, we tend to attach a lot of blame to our parents, but sometimes they also never got somebody to to guide them. So they don't know how to be parents. Basically, they got the children, but they still don't know how to raise them, because even for them, when they were growing up, they never knew, they never had that person to tell them how to be parents. So sometimes I think we need to have candid discussions with those our guardians, candid discussions with our parents, to make them understand the difficulties that you're going through. Basically, everybody that is joining here right now, I think we are all teenagers, and we can discuss these issues freely for us to understand where's the disconnect, what's the difficulty. And I know right now people are always like, okay, education is no longer the key, because Mbogi Genja wanazaimba na wapate don wapate endorsements and all those things. But we really need to discuss these things with our parents. We need to find ways in which we reconnect ourselves with whatever is happening. So based on that story, I'd like to implore you guys to go and read that story. And I believe Lynn shared it to your platform, both the Kiswahili version and the English version. So I just want to read like the situation analysis of week 1. So the family is central to human person. It is the cradle life of love and life that people are born and grow. When a child is born, society receives the gift of a new person who is called from the innermost depths of self to communion with others. And basically, it is what we are doing right now. We are in a commune. We are conversing, and all of us are from different parts of this country, and all of us are from different backgrounds, and all of us are from different experiences and families. So the family is the natural community in which human and social nature is experienced, and makes a unique and irreplaceable contribution to the good of the society. So this is a letter by Pope John Paul, and it is also recognized in our constitution, basically. So you could find the centrality of the family as the moral fabric of the society, in that the Constitution of Kenya states that the family is the natural and fundamental unit of the society and the necessary basis of social order, and shall enjoy the recognition and protection of the state, which means the family is protected by God and by the state. I think that's why even President Uhuru and his wife and the family are called the first family, because it's something that is very big. And even if you go in all other worlds, basically we have more male presidents than female presidents. But the first question people always want to look, if you want to take care of this country, um, how is your family? Who is your wife or who is your husband? How many children do you have? How is your family going? And you find like our leaders try to really protect this image, because it is as important as what they seek and as what the office that they want to represent really is. So if the church and the state place the family in such high position, it is inherent, therefore, that the family takes its fundamental function and responsibility in upbringing of children to develop their potentialities and become aware of their dignity and prepare them to face their unique and individual destiny. So soon, some of us will be parents, maybe in a few months, or I don't know if some of you are already parents. I think Jude and brother Steve are parents by default, and a few others. So it is our moral duty. And for you who are older sisters and older brothers, it is your duty to actually take this role of ensuring that those who are below you are formed with values, so that they are able to discern between what is right and what is wrong. I'm not speaking from a vantage point of righteousness. I have my own weaknesses, and I've also enjoyed my fair share of being a child. At the same time, as you want them to live out themselves to be, let them experience. Let us make our own mistakes, and that's how we learn from it. Because right now, I'm still learning from my mistakes, and every day is a way of finding yourself. So we need to live that. So So when the family finds itself in a youth environment due to rapid changes in terms of social, economic, and political and religious extremism, not to mention serious pandemics like COVID-19. In We have to really go back, take a step back. We really need to take a step back and actually ask ourselves what's going on. We need to take a step back and recollect with whatever is happening. Ask yourself where is the problem and such like situations. So in our country today, the family is facing a lot of untold difficulties, and the role of parents in this is in disarray as they continue to compete with various influences, the ones that I've mentioned before from the world. So the world view and value system are so dynamic. The things where we, like, let's say in 1990s, the values that we used to believe in as a family then are so different. I've just pointed out in terms of when we grew up, how we used to relate in terms of the bit about communal. We've moved from that bit of ujamaa, that bit of community living, community love, to more of what am I going to benefit as Pascal? What am I going to benefit as Pascal's wife? What am I going to benefit as? What are my children going to benefit as children of Pascal? It has become more of individual. The pronoun is I and I. It's never like ours and everything else. So it has changed. So it has become so dynamic, and I'm not seeing a point where it's going to change. It may move to a point where it can be really extreme, but we are also called to still reflect on that. What's going wrong? I worked in Kibra for a while, and it was crazy because Kibra is a shanty place, and there are a lot of there are many people that live in Kibra. But surprisingly, you won't go and sleep in Kibra, and the person who sleeps at the last place and the first place atakosa kujua we ni nani. They know each other. They know, they know. For example, they may know Pascal ndiye anaishingi mwisho wa State House. That's a village in Kibra. It's called Gatwekera. And they'll know that Lynn is the first house. They will know from one door to the next. There's that bit that is really there. So if you can really get that bit of community that these people are still enjoying in those areas, that's what utapata wase wa ghetto si rahisi kwa beba wana unaona cause anajuana. Cause I remember there's a time we went to shoot in Kariobangi, and then one of our equipments was stolen, and then we went to one of the guys there, alafu akaniambia okay, nani aliiba, muliibiwa wapi, nipatieni tu dakika mbili na niende niwaletee hizo equipment zote, lakini nyinyi mtanifanya nini? Mtanikanja do. And true to his word, it happened. No, this is a negative example, but it's just to show you the way the community is. Obviously, you know everybody and their character. You know who can steal and who cannot steal, and you know who to go to when you want help and who not to go to. So such bit. So but let us make it a bit positive. Let us move from this idea of I, and at least let's start sharing. I don't know if you remember those days when you used to have one mandazi, but ulikuwa unaweza katia kila rafiki yako. Those days when ulikuwa na sweet moja lakini inaweza umwa kama rangamu, lakini sasa si ume sweet because kuna corona. So the family today faces a lot of things to do with divorce, separation, pain, economic recession, parenting challenges, unemployment, illness, disability, drug and substance abuse, gambling addiction, teenage pregnancies, youth radicalization, child abuse and exploitation, child labor, domestic violence, and suicides. So there's so many things that are happening. So all these things, we don't say that they're only affecting children, but they're also affecting parents. That's why I'm feeling like at this point, we are talking as young people, we need to draw the line. We need to take that role of reaching out. Let us not wait for the bomb to hit, is when we want to call for help. If you see like a bomb is in preparation, please go seek out the necessary people so that we salvage whatever is happening. So parents have insufficient time to impart values to their children and bond with their family members. All this pose a great challenge for the family, but there is hope to the family if we all go back to the basics and the purpose of the family. The church should never waver in the defense of the family. The society in general too should rethink and strategize on how to improve and bring forth a God-fearing nation right from the family. So basically, it's what I've been saying all this while. We need to take a step back. We need to reevaluate where is it that all this is going wrong. We need to think, and as young people, we need to also question our resolves. How do we how do we relate with our parents? How do we relate with our siblings? How do we become responsible during all these times? Because so many things are happening during the pandemic. Parents had a lot of time to be with their parents, but we're still hearing cases of children burning schools. We're still hearing cases of children coming out and killing their own parents. So where is the problem? Is it that parents have reached a point where they can't really control their children? But we need to ask such questions. I may not have all the answers, I might have assumptions, but we really need to have those questions. And I think if there is a point where uh, I think the idea of of if you want to break this country, basically, I think the central point is always to break the idea about ideologies. So if we break that ideology of a family, it comes the single target. If you're not brought up in a society where it has value that you can all relate to, then we have a problem. We were arguing with a friend of mine about the communist leadership in China and trying to compare our confused capitalism in Kenya. I don't know if you are using capitalism or whatever, but you find like there is a value in China. This is something I admire from them, and everybody grows up to know that there is this value. We may not like everything they do, but there is a value that they all respect. There's a value that they all adhere to. And even for the Americans, save for the case of Trump, they always felt like democracy will always win. It was always America first and all these things. But in our country, and every man for himself, no, we don't have a value that we can actually say that this is what we were brought up knowing this. You go to China, nobody will speak ill of the government. You go to China, people will follow toe the line and whatever is happening. Yes, they question, but they know that there is a way that they can get their answers, things to follow, and such like things. So I'm not saying that this is the best, but I'm lacking good examples to give. But I'm saying that we need to develop that value, and that value comes from the family. Because if we grow up with an identity of how to respect authority, with an identity that we need to get things right, then we shouldn't have so many cases of divorce. We don't need to have so many cases of separation. We don't need to have so many cases of parenting challenges. And on this, I was talking about like perhaps some of our parents, they don't really know how to be parents, but they're parents. So if you've realized that, how do you think you can help them and such like questions? So I'm just thinking widely. I might be right or I might be wrong. So the time for that question will come. So I'll go next to the bit about reflection questions and examination of conscience. So the first reflection is, what modern threats affect me, my family, and community at large? You can ask yourself that question. Allow me to share the screen. Um, Reflections question: what modern threats affect me, my family, and community at large? The second one is, are you aware of any negative campaigns threatening family values in your area? If any, discuss. But when you are thinking about this question, ask yourself, what are family values? Because you won't be able to discuss this if you don't know what are family values. So That bit about examination of conscience. Number one, have I contributed negatively or positively to the rise or fall of the family? We also need to ask ourselves that question. And also, have I contributed to strengthening of family values? So that's why I'm saying we have a big role as young people. Right now, God has given us the power to know what is right and what is wrong, and also make amends. So if you see there's a way in which you can strengthen that family bond, a way you can strengthen that family values, then take the mantle and lead. Number three, have I supported non-governmental organizations, institutions, or person that promote negative foreign ideologies? I know this is very debatable, because, and I like the way they've placed it so general, so that the church is not found at fault. So there's so many things in terms of foreign ideologies we also know, but as young people, there's so many things that happen that are threatening family values, and we don't talk about them. We find like people are talking about okay, LGBTQ, people are talking about the single parents and everything else. There's the teaching of the church, so we need to really also go back and understand what the church talks about all these issues, for us to be at par with our faith and also get an understanding. And I love the fact that at least we have brother Steve and brother Jude and sister Rose. They have a deep understanding in terms of all these issues, and I think they will share on matters faith and matters church. That's not for me. So I think, in the interest of time, I'd love to leave it there. But I'm also asking you guys, please go online, check hashtag Lenten Campaign 2021. There are so many materials that are there. You can go through them. Are happening weekly. So asanteni na Mungu awabariki. So any questions regarding what I have presented are welcome, or Lynn would guide.
Thank you so much, Pascal. Uh, that is, it was very comprehensive even from you. And I think matters family. Like we are seeing a lot of things, like you've said, Yani. Suicide being something that even a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old can think about. And I think when we were growing up, that was, did you even think about it? Just to think about it. When did you learn about? Okay, Pascal, this is a question to you. Like, just when did you
Yeah,
first know about suicide? Because me, I think when I was growing up, guy, boy,
I think I knew about suicide as a vocabulary.
eh, but
Yes, it
not the
was
action.
no, no, the action. No, we used to joke. I don't know if Steve can share that. For us in our culture, if you committed suicide, we are being told like, ukipatikana umejinyonga hapo kwa mti, and then you are still dangling there, they'll take canes and cane you thoroughly. So I think at that point, that was the idea about suicide, but I never contemplated it like really happening to people close to me. But over the years, I've really lost so many friends
Mm,
um, to suicide, and
yeah.
some of them do not even talk. You are with them today, and then the next day you hear that, oh, this guy killed themselves. I think a worst case scenario was of a friend of mine, a lady friend of mine. The boyfriend just did it, and they've been all along. They were okay until the very last day. So the next day she wakes up, and then the story is gone, and then she's like, okay, this has happened. So I don't know. I don't know. You might be contemplating such issues, but you just talk to people. I also have a friend who really tried to kill himself, and it never worked. He stabbed himself like 7 times. Tried to burn the house. You know, when your time is not your time, it's not your time. Eh?
Yeah.
So I think let's just get it out. If you feel like it is becoming too much of a burden, there's so many people who you can talk to. Just seek help. And please, guys, must they reach out to your friends. Sometimes you never know what they're going through. Just
Hey,
call them impromptu or visit them. That's how it happens.
true. And I'm just wondering. Yes, I think people should actually type what are some of the problems that you, okay, I know we have stated some of them, but I think let's come, those are the general, the global issues that have been stated. what are some of the problems that we might be experiencing even here, even in our own homes.
Yeah.
And I think during COVID-19 is when we were able to see how far the family is actually broken down, because all of a sudden, fathers and husbands had to be home, and we know sometimes they are not home, and now they have to stay there with their wives, and the rate of intimate partner violence just skyrocketed. And then now that's when parents got to actually know their children.
Yeah.
And I think even there was a meme about parents complaining and saying how teachers need to be paid extra because if this is what they deal with, man, we can't.
Then I think on the bit about reflections, perhaps you can do it. I'm seeing Val, I'm seeing JH, I'm seeing Patricia, Enoch, Brian, Reina, Miss Gadara, Eric, Alan, and Rose. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can pose the first question. What modern threats
Yes.
affect me, my family, and community at large? I think we can type.
Yes.
Everybody, you can just chat, and then we'll read them.
Yeah.
So the first reflection is, what modern threats affect me, my family, and community at large? You can also raise your hand. You can also type it as well.
Yeah. Anyone who wants to share, just raise your hand. You'll be unmuted, and you can also type. Yes, Enoch. Wait. Enoch, you can go ahead and unmute and share your points. Enoch, you're still muted. Enoch, while we're waiting, Enoch, you can unmute yourself. I'm seeing your hand raised. You can unmute yourself and share your points. And while
About the threats affecting us.
Yeah.
Yes, first of all is one thing that we need to think about is where do we get our happiness as those some of us feel that happiness can be drawn from somewhere else. But the goal of marriage or a family is to bring you together so that you can be some seek this happiness outside. And when you go out to seek that happiness, you forget about it. Totally start thinking different things apart. So where we get our happiness is the first thing we should look at. That is my point. Thank you.
um Enoch, on your end, we can't quite hear. I don't know if it's my end only, but I couldn't get him quite
You,
clearly. There was some static.
I think he was talking about where do you get your happiness. If I got
Yeah.
this right, Enoch, you can tell me things to do with happiness, and I think the idea about family. I don't know if you can type it. It will be really great. I think I got those points. I've so Val has said that she thinks that the society is so judgmental when it comes to some individual decisions. So we'd like to know at least what are those individual decisions. Perhaps you
Individual
can tell.
decisions,
Yeah,
actually.
ni kama gani. It's so general.
Yeah.
Lynn,
Yes?
have you seen my message?
Yes, I have. And I wanted to respond to it actually. Yes.
Okay.
So maybe Val, you can tell us what when you talk about the society being judgmental, and in terms of individual decisions, what do you mean? So as we wait for Val to respond, the questions are there on the chat. What
Mm-hmm.
modern threats affect me, my family, community at large, and are you aware of any negative campaigns threatening family values in your area? I don't know. There's a time we were doing some campaign, and I think I even shared this with Lynn some time back. Things to do with. I know she's very passionate to do with things to do with mental, I don't know, how do you call them, mental, is it mental awareness or mental problems and things like that, things to do with yes. So I think there are people who are not we don't understand them. There was this issue, I don't know if you people saw this video of this lady that was proposed to, and any hell broke loose. No, no. She just screamed and chased everybody away, and then at one point she got calm and such like issues, and then it was so big. I don't know how you handle such things, but I think in my case,
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather it was in maybe in a bush where place people will notice it, so when such like things happen. So terms of, let's say, mental cases and things like that, I know of a few cases where their children were able differently, but when you go to certain places, they are locked inside the house. They're not allowed to
Yeah.
mingle with other people in such like situations. I think, in one way, I think that's something that is also threatening um, the bit about the family. So Val says that one finds that they have to be cautious of how the society will think of them when it comes to marriages, religion, jobs. You end up making wrong decisions because you just want to please the society. At this point, basically, I'd like to just invite you guys to speak about things. I think we are going through a lot of things right now. And I'm also always found in a spot where I need to always ask clarifications on these issues to do with marriages, religions, and jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps Father tuambie anafikiria nini.
Pascal, what are you saying?
There's that. Kumbe, you knew yourself, you're the priest anyway. So Vala said one finds that they have to, she said, I think the society is so judgmental when it comes to some individual decisions. And one finds that they have to be cautious of how the society will think of them when it comes to issues to do with marriages, religion, jobs. And you end up making wrong decisions just to please the society.
Yes, I think it's right. Sometimes it's with our parents because they've been brought up. Maybe if they do white collar job, they think everything to be done is white collar job. So that if you take something which is not a white collar job to them, you're not doing the right thing. So, and some people in the community too, maybe you're going to the university, they think since you've been a graduate, you must do things that graduates do. You can't do such business, small business as the rest. And so many people have been facing challenges that whatever, like their dreams are not being fulfilled because the parents and society want you to do this because this is what we do. Maybe you're born in a family of lawyers and your parents say you have to be a lawyer, yet you just to be a musician. So it's a big challenge because the parents are not letting the children to follow their dreams and their talents. And most of them find it stressing, they get into drugs. I have a friend who was told that she has to be a doctor. So she went to school and finished school. And after graduation, took the certificate to the parents and told them, now I'm a doctor. It's yours, and gave certificate. And she never practiced medicine again. She went and did business management. And so you see, this is a different case because the parents want something and want something different. So to fulfill the will of the parents, she did the medicine, but never practiced. And that is a wasted time. We should have done something in her life. So, as you said, that our parents are also supposed to be here because our parents are supposed to listen to us. that we too, as much as it is them who pay our school fees, pay everything for us, but we still have also have our rights, we have our choices, and we have our dreams. Let us also risk that we can become what we want to be, not what they think it should be. That's my thinking.
Okay, so on that, I think Erica said that he seconds Val's opinion that people end up making wrong decisions just because they want to please the society. I don't know, I don't know about your personal experiences, but I know sometimes there are a lot of pressure that comes from our families, basically to always do right, take certain um, ways in terms of take different approaches in terms of approaching life and such like that. So I think what Enoch was saying was, where do we get our happiness as a family? He says that Aristotle says that the goal of anything we do is to be happy. So our families should always be a source of happiness, but some have always turned it upside down. They go searching for happiness elsewhere, hence forgetting about their families, spending more time out searching for happiness from unnecessary places. So that is really sometimes, in my opinion, though. But I don't know. Where do you guys get your happiness, basically? I know there is when the family is functioning well, your siblings are happy, your parents are happy. That's a huge chunk of happiness actually somebody has. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And Pascal, just to add on, I'll come back to the happiness factor because I also have a question there or another
Okay.
point there. On Val's point about individualized decisions, umenotice sai tuko age ya lazima kila mtu guys
Yes.
mafans asi nyinyi ni hawa mafans. Oh, so as I was saying, you'll get that tuko hii age ya lazima si wote tuomoke. So it's like we have to do every single thing kuomoka, sindio? So if
Abide.
that college degree doesn't work, hi, there is this someone, there's this sponsor who's offering life ya kuomoka. I don't really have to do anything. If there's this nowadays, even sugar mommy is a thing, and it's always been a thing, but saini kama tu exclude. So imefika point we have, it's like we have to make it no matter what way we use. And some of the ways, even that's why scams, a lot of scams are there nowadays, no, because of all this that we want to do. And this has now turned to affect the family because also lazima tuomoke. I think now everyone is out there searching for money. I'll use my family for instance. If my mom is at work, I'm at work, my bro is at work, my other brother is at school, tunakutana saa ngapi? You know, so like I find that now if we're not really intentional, and I think family life now has to become intentional, where we are at still yenye ilikuwa natural, at some point I feel like kitambo ilikuwanga natural. Yeah, our children have to be their parents, they have to have some time to talk about some things. The men will go with the boys, the ladies will go with the mothers and sit somewhere. Right now we don't have that a natural way of life. Now I think it's reached a point where we just have to be intentional in actually creating time and spending time with each other. Because even us, yes, we say our parents are not there. But let's say even during the weekend they're there. Sa hiyo ndio Lina kona form mbaya. Ndio. Ama sa hiyo ndio Netflix imeshika kabisa. So my mom wants to talk to me, mi niko na headphones na nimeweka Netflix ama niko TikTok ama niko Instagram. So it's not just about our parents not being there, it's also us. We're not there. So all of us had to go. And then that was point number one. Point number two that I had, it's a question that I keep asking. Is it that I know cheating in marriages was there even then, and it's the reason why HIV spread that time. But sahi, it is so common to actually hear like people who are our parents. Unajua ukitoka huko nje, the way you hear like nani, and you'll actually, if you live in this estates, you can actually know baba nani na mama nani, they actually have a thing. Mchana hao ndio wako hivyo. So even our upbringing wenye tunaona, it's like just seeing even cheating is something so common, and it's something we are learning from up above. So me, I'd say those are some of the main issues that we have now that are in turn affecting our families, and that goes back to the happiness. We are getting happiness from outside. People when they come, ushaifikia kwa nyumba unaona mtu ametulia hata haezi ongea, akitoka nje yeye ndio kurukaruka huko nje. It's because homes have become a place where it's no longer home, and I don't know what we can do to bring back home to be back to being home. Yeah.
One. I think that's a tough one. So the question is, what can we do to bring back home to be home again? Because most cases people are viewing homes as a hostel ground. I don't
Yes.
know. I think it's really difficult. I don't know what Rose thinks, and Reina, perhaps Brian, you can share what you think about these issues. So Lena's talk about unfaithfulness in marriages being a very big issue. I don't know how you will feel if you know across estates, this house or this house, these people do like this, and how it in turn affects children and such like issues. So I- it's like children are now witnessing all the rot that are in the family, and they don't know how to react to it. So yeah, I don't know.
So the way Alan acha tukusikie sasa. Now it's a discussion. Alan, Brian, Eriko, anyone who has a point to say or any addition to add, because we are saying these things in the community. So what are some of your thoughts? Just raise your hand. I will allow you to unmute yourself. Ama mtu anaweza tujiunmute. Then we hear your points before we go to Sister Rose. Yes, Reina, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, thanks. I would like
You're
to share
welcome.
how we now how do we come back home where there is no happiness? Maybe for families whereby people can sit down and discuss their issues, it is high time we talk, because such things, sometimes you can be looking for happiness outside there, and outside there it is no longer there. We talk like, Dad, what are your problems that you are not able to be with us at home? Mom, what are your problems that you are not feeling it is home again? Children, what are our issues? Bring them at table. Then together we find a solution. Maybe I don't like, let's say, what dad does in the house. That's why I don't want to be there. Or I don't like what mom has done in the house. So there is no peace. I keep on avoiding. Maybe that is my reason for going out. But if I speak about what this which is in my heart that prevents me from feeling at home, from relating well to my siblings, to my parents, if I'm able to talk about it, then I am not judged. We look for solutions together, then we can make it a home. But the challenge is, where is that time for us to sit down? And which parent would like to sit down and be talked to with their children? That is where the challenge is. But I believe in the power of negotiation, the power of talking, the power of bringing things on the table. Then we find a common ground whereby everyone feels now at home. Come back at home and bring all those values and live together at peace. That's what I'd like to see. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um,
Lena, I
Enoch in
think
the chat. Yes.
I think in the Reina's thoughts are being shared by Val, because Val is saying to bring homes back to being home. We need really prayers. Yes, yes, intentional prayers. We just don't need prayers. Everybody needs prayers, but we need like prayers with the intent. We also
Yeah.
need communication and basically creating time for each other. I think this is one of the things that we really lack. And next week we are going to, I think, when we are looking at these things, going to talk about sacrifice. So sacrifice, I mean, everything today is sacrifice. And I was discussing before Alan speaks, from that point. You can just unmute yourself, Alan, and then I'll continue on that point of sacrifice.
Alan, you can unmute yourself. Hello.
Then, so my point is, unanisikia?
Tunakusikia.
My point is, I like staying with my parents. Sometimes we like talking to each other, but other times, napata hapo, and then it's like I go back in the house. So there's this unpack. You know how to tourist it. And the girl is like coming back. Napenda kushinda home sana, so kuna time she got out of the house from 5, then she went at 9. So like alipewa lecture hapo. So like the people maybe find it hard to be with their families, but it has, but also look at your families like small sisters, brother, you know, so that
I think, Alan, your audio is not really good, so you can maybe type.
Yeah, there's some static, strong statics from your end. I'm trying to look at Brian. Brian, like to hear your thoughts. Enrico, we'd like to hear your thoughts. JH, Madeline Muller, we'd also like to hear your thoughts. And Paul and Rose, before we invite even Mercy Akinyi to talk to us. Yes, we'd like to hear your thoughts. You can just type. I see Rose has typed material competition. I think it's affecting our family so much because we're all competing to reach a certain level, and that hinders us from even getting time to sit and talk as a family, because others think it's a waste of time and others will get where they are. We can't make it in a day, but our families will still be there. So let's avoid this competition that threatens to separate us. Is it that we've reached a point where we're not satisfied? When it comes to material things,
I think it's a normal thing.
it's a normal thing to reach that point where we're not.
No,
Ukata
I'm saying what Rose is saying is a reality basically.
yeah, it
Families
is
are
a big one.
competing. Yes, and I think it's a big problem. Families are competing in terms of material issues. They are competing. Me, I don't know. Check your
Kwanzaa
uncles, check your
extended
aunts.
families,
Yes,
yeah.
extended family. People are
Because
competing.
even in, I remember it was so common to hear like cousin yako anapita sana, mbona wewe usomi?
Yeah,
Nani
so imagine
anafanya
such
hii,
like an
mbona wewe
issue.
ufanye hii? Yeye alipata A exam, wewe unapata aje D? Na
So I
nyinyi ni
think all these things
familia.
are, yeah, they're really affecting families. This, you're being told don't compare, and yet your parents are busy comparing thoroughly. It's an
Yeah.
issue when families start competing. I think things are coming out. There are things that are really threatening the family, because there's this point that she says that material competition,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then she says, or is it, it's affecting families so much because we're all competing to reach a certain level, and that hinders us from getting time to sit and talk as family, because others think it is a waste of time, and others will get where, it's, I don't know, you even go home and mnaanza kupimana tu, unaona, I don't know, it happens. So it's an issue also that is affecting the family right now.
And I actually think we've reached a point where it's actually between spouses.
Spouses are competing.
Yes.
Wow.
Like actually it's very okay in Kakuma, like the population in Kakuma among humanitarian staff is more men are married, the ladies are single. Na tunaelewa hiyo dynamics. Hakuna mtu atakubali bibi yake aende huko kote kufanya kazi, but the husband can go. So when having a discussion with them, because it's just interesting to hear how they think, there's this thing of even curtailing like your wife if they start getting more, and that's a thing. Like it's never about like this is family finances, and even they were talking about in case there is maybe land, like next of kin, utapata hata kuweka your spouse is very hard. So there is a lot, apparently there is a lot of unclaimed properties currently because either the breadwinner passed and hakuweka familia kama next of kin. And it's something that I think it's actually a bureau of unsolicited something. I was listening to some podcast the other day that was saying these people actually have so much money that they loan the government, and it's unclaimed property. Either someone's passed, the spouses don't know, the families don't know. So I think even transparency in families is a problem. Yeah,
Transparency in family is also a problem.
yeah,
So I
and
think,
even having that table to have that conversation, we don't have that environment that favors conversations.
Madeleine is also seconding that Rose's point in terms of material competition. And I think if you look at this discussion pretty well, even in what week one focuses in terms of family, this issue in terms of there is no openness
Yes.
between parents, mother to father. There's no openness between children and their parents, and it is also something that is affecting the family. I don't know. There are a lot of unclaimed assets. I just read there was a. If you look at I think February's issue of my government, my gov, the newspaper, you'll actually, it has like a full page of unclaimed assets, and I don't know where the problem is. And then Paul Mwangi is also sharing that most young people are not ready to have families, and this is a concern. Any tricks?
Yenyewe ni ukweli. Ukifikiria lazima uomoke ndo ukuwe na familia. Ai, na
I
sahii
think
uko na loan ya fuliza hapo ndani.
there's so many conditions that have been set for people to have families. I think it's
Yeah.
becoming, I don't know. That's what I was saying. Perhaps if our parents are also present in this forum, perhaps they could explain to us. Unasikianga ati tulianza kaa tunaishi kwa nyumba ya mabati, sahii tunaishi kwa ghorofa. I don't know how that is true, but to us, I think it's a reality that we can't really relate with. Ama, mi sijui, I'm just saying. But this issue, I
Yeah.
don't know about most young people not ready to have families. I think it will need a day.
A whole day discussion. True.
True. Now Enoch is saying that why young people are not ready to have families because they feel like they're going to a lifetime jail if they have a family. See me, I wonder, as in how is having a family becoming a jail term? Is it because of the responsibilities that come with it, or is it that people are no longer prepared? Me, I don't know. We need some elders actually. Sijui.
I think this is a whole discussion that needs elders here.
And it is
Cause
funny because it's only the men who are talking. I'm not hearing from the ladies' side.
ai we so umesikia Madeline na Rose Niki.
Nimesema kwa hii part ya young families nasikia tu ni Enoch na Paul.
Oh yeah. Yes, I know. Hiyo ni shida kubwa sana.
I'm not reading the next comment. So in a short while, I beg to leave the meeting for a few minutes and then I'll be back. I have something to do at exactly 10 and then I'm coming back.
Okay. But before you leave, even I'd like to ask, like, to bring now Mercy Akinyi. She's actually one of the elders that is here present
Lovely.
and can help us to understand some of these questions that we are posing here. So
Yeah.
Mercy, welcome. Hey, welcome very.
Thank you very much, Lynn.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting discussion that has been going on, and it's very interesting to hear your views. It's true. There are a lot of challenges facing the family, and you mentioned a good number of them. I hear a lot of frustration in some of the comments, and it's quite understandable. But I'll talk to you as an elder, a wife, a mother. Let me start with the point of marriage and just relate it to the story that we went through earlier. I believe a lot of you are maybe just, I don't know, some of you could be in college, some could have started work. I'm not very sure. But what has been narrated in that story is a story of a lot of us who are now in the family life. You went to school, your parents encouraged you to go to school, you got your papers, you met a young man whom you fell in love with. Shall I say, I met a young man who I fell in love with. We got married. Soon we got children. I heard somebody saying that they think that perhaps parents do not know how to be parents. The truth is that in the modern society, the social structures have really changed, unlike in the past where there was that support from the probably grandparents. Right now, you find that you live in the city by yourself with your family. So it's really you to see how to best raise your children. Let me say that you're on your own, especially if you're not part of a community. Like, for example, some of us are lucky we are part of a church community. But before we even got to be part of a church community, we had those years in marriage where we had to try and figure it out ourselves. How are we going to raise these kids? And it's tough, by the way. It's tough. It's tough being a parent suddenly. Okay, you think you're prepared, like for example, at your age right now, some of you who are brave enough, because I've read that young people are reluctant to have families. There are those who still want to venture into family life, and I hope many of you do. But it seems easy to raise children, but it really isn't. So it is true. I'll admit as a parent that a lot of parents, especially young parents, face challenges. Can you hear me, Lynn?
Yes, 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 I can hear you.
I could be talking, but maybe you can't hear me. So a lot of parents face those challenges. And so it's something that you learn on the job. Okay. So you learn on the job to raise children, uh, hopefully the way they need to be raised. So on that aspect of parenting, parents need a lot of support. Now that I'm at my age now as an elder, if I were to speak to a young mother and young wife, I would be able to give them a lot of pointers. But it's been tough learning along the way. So it's true that let's not let's cut some our parents a bit of slack. The truth is that no parent is born an expert in parenting. Having said that, some of the things that help us possibly, especially recently, to be better parents are some initiatives that are taken by the church. For example, right now there is the Family Life Ministries. When you hear about it, don't distance yourself too much, because there's actually a lot of good that can be learned from there. And let me just say at this point that you youth truly are our future. There is hope, because you are realizing that these problems are there. And I would implore you to make a choice, because some of the issues which are being raised about competition, the society being judgmental, are true. But you have a chance to make a decision and say that I would like to raise better children. I would like to do better as a parent. You can make that deliberate decision, you have an advantage that the family in the story does not have. You're conscious of these things that are going on, and the church has a lot of initiatives. For example, you'll find family life giving talks like Parenting in the 21st Century. Many times people think that that is for those who are in marriage only, but it can really benefit you as a young person, because people like you, as long as you're above 18, you're normally welcome to sit in and listen to people's experiences and listen to those who have learned these things and hear other parents experiences, and possibly learn from it. Another thing that I'd like to touch on is about uh, what is going on, consumerism. I mean, just the quest for wealth. It's true that it's a vice that is with us as a society. And if we don't, and I like the word that has been used in this forum, we don't intentionally decide to do better at the family level, then we cannot succeed, because everywhere there are uh, so many ideologies new ideologies coming in, especially I don't want to call them influences from the Western world, although to a large extent they are, but you always have the freedom as a person to make a decision, to be different, to be better. So we find that we are always looking, it's true, we're always looking for more, and we want our families to live what we think are better lives. But then thank God for sober talks that help us realize that it's not all about wealth, that we really have to make a conscious decision to be at home with our children. So we have through this fora, the initiatives that the church has put in place to support families. Through these talks, a lot of us parents who've attended them have become more conscious of what the actions that we take, the decisions that we make, the impact that they have on our children, and how we need to redefine success. So am I more successful when I have more money, or am I more successful when my children are happy, secure, and meaningful members of society? So there's that need for support for parents. And I challenge you, because in a few years you will have the opportunity to be a parent. Please make an intentional decision to be a better parent. Take advantage of this initiatives that the church has put in place. Something else that was spoken about marriage and the unfaithfulness that is going on. And this is tough, because from the spiritual aspect, or rather the Christian perspective, one would there's a time when I, as a person in marriage, felt like marriage was really under a lot of attack, because even if you told your colleagues that you're happy in your marriage, they would say you are pretending. So generally, there was this negative pressure on marriage around. But again, I'll say I'm really thankful to the church for something called Marriage Encounter, because these initiatives really help. Like, for example, I had a chance to attend that, and it's sad. It's sad to see that your parents are not talking to each other, they're not communicating, there's tension in the family. But apart from being your parents, they're also individuals with their, with their personal needs, spiritual, emotional needs, that so they could also be going through their personal challenges, which they first have to address before they can even now sit. You cannot give what you don't have. So if they don't have that peace, they don't have that well-being, they cannot share it with the family. So again, I'll say such initiatives really help, because without communication in marriage, then things are going to be really, really tough. And some topics like communication in marriage are also given by Family Life. But there's also something for those who are planning to get married called the engagement weekend. If you think you're courting, let me just share this information. If you think you're courting somebody and you're serious about, or you could be serious in the near future, it's good to, as we said, intentionally be intentional and take a weekend and go for some of these sessions, so that you really search and know whether this is the right person for you, and take advantage of these support systems. So that unfaithfulness is something that exists, probably because of pains, dissatisfactions, sometimes because of ideologies, pressures. As Christians, perhaps it's because of lack of prayer, idleness, and engaging in things which we shouldn't engage in, being in the wrong places at the at the right time, or vice versa. So it calls on you, as first of all, as a Christian, what am I doing that could endanger my faithfulness to my husband, for example? Who am I, as young people say, hanging out with? Who am I? What ideas am I subscribing to? Are they in line with my values as a Christian? Because someone spoke of sugar mummies, sugar daddies. Even among people who are age mates, you'll find that despite being married, still you'll find there's that unsolicited attention. So unless you have your values, I listened to a priest who used to tell us that when growing up, that you have to make a decision not to do a wrong before you are in the occasion of sin or in the circumstances of temptation. For example, if you attend a party, you have to say, I'm not going to, drink too much and get drunk, and I'm not going to drink anything, or I'm not going to drink certain drinks, so that when you get there, you're able to conquer the temptation. But if you don't think it through, then you find yourself, in those temptations, and you're likely to fall. So just for the record, parents too are human beings. And so without that intentional and deliberate effort to remain faithful and lead a life of values, it is not possible. And I keep saying that you, our young people, we have hope in you. We are here to support you. Be intentional and know that in a few years, if you're not careful, you may find yourself in the situation that family that has been spoken about in the Lenten campaign booklet found themselves in, because of the pressures of life. Because right now it's about our parents, but in a few years, if we are not conscious, it will be about us. About kuomoka, that's a vocabulary lean that I've never known the meaning of, but today I was beginning to get a hint of what it means. I think it's better to build your wealth together as a couple, and there's still a chance to do that. So you who are in this forum, if you find somebody who is like-minded, you'd rather deliberately try to build your lives together than look for ready-made wealth, where you did not work towards it, where you don't know how the wealth came about, which compromises even your relationship with whoever it is that is your benefactor. So yeah, I've tried to address a lot of the issues that I've had, But if there are any questions, we are here to support and share our experiences. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you so much, Marcy. You've actually addressed most, if not all. I think you've addressed even all questions. And I'll just read some of the comments that came before you started talking. And it's about why people are giving their views on why they are not ready. The youth, most young people are not ready to have families, and it's because of the feeling like it's a lifetime jail. Then the basics in marriage have been misinterpreted. That is very, very true. And it becomes hard because there is lack of individual responsibility when people enter in a union, and this causes a strain on one partner, and there is no growth. There's something that one of the psychologists told me, and I'd wish Mercy to echo more about it. And it's not like when you enter marriage, you stop being an individual. Actually, the comment was there is greater happiness and the relationship is more fulfilling the more individual you are. Individual here meaning that you still stick to being you. Yes, there are definitely some things that will conform and there are some things that will transform because of you two coming together. But it doesn't mean that you neglect what makes you happy. I don't know. It's something that I was told, and I think it can actually address feeling that it's a lifetime jail. Mercy, what do you think about that?
I think it's true in the sense that I know there are a lot of young men here. I wish there was an elder who is also in marriage. Maybe they would have responded. You see, during courtship, Lynn, you will find that you are the main subject, or your lives revolve around each other. You're dating, you're meeting each other, you're learning about each other, your likes, your dislikes, trying to impress each other. And let me just say for the record, no matter how long you court, until you live together, you can never really say you know each other. So when you live together again, you start learning each other. So, but then once you get married, and sometimes it's a challenge, especially for young wives, because once you get married, the tendency is for the man to now start looking for his priorities shift. He wanted a wife, he has gotten a wife, so that goal has been achieved. Okay, so he moves on to trying to secure the family. On the other hand, if you are not careful, since you are the subject of you are like the star of the whole courtship thing, you still expect things to be the same, meaning you lost yourself in courtship. You've even forgotten what your hobbies were, you've forgotten so many things about yourself, and then you can become miserable. So perhaps the psychologists meant that you can become miserable because your life sort of stopped. It was just courtship per se. But now that you're in marriage, you have to transition and don't lose who you were. Don't lose who you are as a person. That way you can even you remain a healthy partner even to your husband. But if your life revolves around the dates you used to have, the lunches you used to have, seeing each other all the time, that means if he's committed elsewhere, or if he needs to attend to something else that is not you, then you feel neglected, and slowly by slowly you start feeling like you're not cared for enough and things like that. So yeah, it is good not to you will find a common language as husband and wife, because you will compromise, you will learn a new way of doing things together. But also you as a person, don't lose yourself, in the sense that there are talents you've been given, there are talents he has been given, so use them as well. You find that you have different charisms, the two of you. You find that you are good at something, he's better at something, and so you complement each other. But if you lose yourself, that's when you find that one of the partners is clingy, one of the partners is very needy, sometimes some of them have become quite possessive, because it's like their life revolves around you. It's just about you, which is not even healthy. That is what I would say, Lynn. Hello?
Oh, thank you so much. Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you so much. And I'd like to, any other comments, just put them on the chat box. I'd like to go also to, we tackle the second question, which was on negative campaigns that threaten family values in your area. Najua nikisema the backlash that will come, it will be big. But I think the first one is actually feminism for me. I think there are some good that came with it. But I think the era we are in, there is, if they see, we say there's toxic masculinity. So I also believe there's toxic feminism. Yes. In terms of right now, actually, there is a vlogger who just gave birth, just Maggie, and she was sharing how she was bashed because of deciding to to take time off from work to take care of the baby, or was bashed because of actually deciding on being a housewife, because of wanting to be the one to take care of the baby. So I think that can be one of the ways that, and what she said was that it was mainly about being able to have her own voice in the marriage. She can't have a voice if she doesn't have money. And most of us have actually been brought up with that ideology that make sure you have your own money, that way hata ukiachwa unaweza stand on your own 2 feet. So I know it has some good facts about it, but I also think it has had a thing to do with the change in family and marriages. Yeah. Guys, any other foreign concepts that we've had, or campaigns that threaten family values? Pascal, welcome back. Sorry, we were listening to Mercy tukasahau kukuadd back, so welcome back. I'll read a comment from Brian, which says having a family is something that just comes in naturally, and not many people put emphasis in it. And some feel it's not yet my time, juu bado sina chenye wakina nani wako nayo, comparison, yes. And I think that goes back to the material competition that we were just discussing, and Mercy has also highlighted. So Pascal, welcome back. Value added something. But I agree with you, but pia ni vizuri female apate kitu kidogo, asiombe hadi bwana pesa ya kununulia watoto kalamu. True. I think there's a balance that has to be, hiyo tutaambiwa na Mercy, hiyo balance inakujanga wapi? Because now there's a balance of having your own thing and having your own voice, and where submission comes in, and for the men where the provision comes in, and if that's the only role that they have, because where we are with the masculinity that we have right now, and I think it's been something that we even saw, I think, with our parents, that fathers are meant to provide. So is that the only role? Are there other roles that they have that may be lost hapo katikati? Is it that roles zinapotea hapo katikati because tumepoteza zilikuwa zinaitwaje, where men used to sit as men, the elders and the newly whatever, and nimesahau your word, someone who remembers that word eke kwa chat box, and the women will sit around the fireplace and just share their experiences. I think we missed that. Personally, I think I would have loved to go through that, just hear like Kina Mercy's experiences and moms, and my aunties, just they're all there. Say unasikia one, you can hear all the experiences. Yes. So masi atatusaidia kujua hiyo strike balance ya ukuwa na pesa yako, because it's true. I feel like the minute you start borrowing even money for, let's say, pads, uh, kuna kamadharauka ukuja. I feel like anakuanga saa sijui. Yes. So there's that balance that we're trying to strike. Enoch has said that concerning the campaigns, he has a slight problem with the issue of children's rights, in which a child has the right to file a case against his or her own mother. Okay, that is something that's actually there. Any more views? Pascal, we unadhania nini? Acha sasa nikulete back. Pascal?
Nadhani ni I think hii kitu ya a child having the right. I think it is just okay children to have the right to report. No, as in to take it. Maze, acha nikwambie. So there are certain cases that sometimes do not make sense. For example, let's take for a case in point kitu kama female genital mutilation. If your parent forced you to go and get cut, few years down the line, you can't give birth, or you go through some complications during the cut, basically. And this thing is the legality. What do you expect? You know? And then there's some things that parents do to their children that are outrightly not right. And you find like these kids do not have even a place to go and to report these things that are happening. What do you expect? Sometimes, I don't know, if you are reporting for the right reasons, I don't know how you can get that balance. Pia, vile sasa tunaongea kuhusu balance. Yeah, could know what is right, but I think they need to have like a way to vile pia wanaweza get back, ndio saa zingine tusi misuse. So there should be better ways for the law enforcers to know if this story is true or not. But I think it's just okay for children to have that leeway, provided that it's not misused. But kwa hii kitu ya kwa hii kitu ya gender roles and everything, I think things have changed. Kitu yenye mi bado sijaelewa mpaka saa hii, na msinipige na mawe because I never grew up knowing how it used to happen. Hii kitu ya mwanaume kubai kitunguu, nyanya na kuleta kwa nyumba, mi sijaelewa hiyo kitu. I know for a fact, see for a fact, but in my own understanding, there's an idea about shared responsibility. But there are things that used to work in our African culture, maze. Acha zingine zibaki tu. That is mine. Hii kitu unaona siku hizi unaona wamekazana, azin unangoja ubai kila kitu. I mean, yes, I know mchele naweza kuishi kwa nyumba, I will bring that. Sukari imeshi kwa nyumba, I can bring that. But ikifika kwa point yenye sasa a lady cannot even tell the basic things that are missing in a kitchen that she needs to cook na vitu kaa hizo kama nyanya, kitunguu, dania, alafu unania as in for emergency purposes, kama mimi ndo nakuja late na nitapitia hizo area, it makes more sense. But si shopping ya vitu kaa hizo mimi ndo naenda kufanya hiyo, na ni shida bana. Mimi sijui tu nasema as in
I think I agree. There's some things that used to work, and honestly, there's some of those things I don't know why they changed. I don't know how we can bring them back in the 21st century, because I feel like something just used to work. And Juicy, sometimes I like listening to Izzy Mohahe, Nitwa nini? TV shows and even live stories, because you get to learn a lot about where we stand as a society. And I remember there's this time on, and I think your video will trend, when Kush Tracy for Switch TV was saying how yeye haezi kuwa amefanya kazi alafu aende kwa nyumba apike na oshe vyombo na afanye hizo vitu zote na the man is just there, and it was met by a lot of views. And I think that's where now I brought the issue of feminism and how it has really changed a lot, even how we see some of the rules. Me kwetu kama najua kuna rules too, yes, my bro will be taught and we'll know how to do them, but kuna time haya kama uko around wewe ndo utaingia kitchen. But I don't know, I think I'd like us to have that discussion. I think some of the campaigns can be the LGBTI, and it is actually a problem even among the youth, even in church, and how it's actually going to affect, it is affecting and it's going to affect marriages. Because I was reading somewhere on Extendella's Boa, trust me, I read them, as I said, to know where we stand as a society. And it was being stated how now married men and women, they're not cheating with the opposite sex, it's actually the same sex. And a very big percentage does that. So I think it's, yeah. Anyway, Brian has said that he had to come in because of how adopted kids are mistreated. That is something that is actually happening. And there's a time I was speaking to some women, this is from Enoch, and all talk of them not having any authority over their children because the child is always ready to involve feeder na unapata ni a girl of 16 years and from 3 feeling that she has studied and knows her rights more than her mother who only reached class 8. Wow. Okay. I don't know. Mercy, what can you say about history of children and children's rights?
On that one, quite frankly, I'm a traditional parent, and so I value my right to discipline my child. You know, to teach them values and to firmly form them in a specific way. So as a parent, I feel that that parents should still have that right. But I also appreciate that there are a lot of children who find themselves in abusive situations. Perhaps that is what informed the adoption of such laws and regulations. But in terms of enforcement, I think Kenya is a bit still lenient. They're not very. I think the cultural aspect of parents being able to discipline their children is very deeply ingrained in most of our families. So you find those cases of children going to report, but by and large, parents are still able to guide their children. I was being told a story of, again, a teenager, about 16, 15, who there's something what did she do? She was given school fees, you know, this thing to do with the corporal punishment. So she was given school fees, and I think she squandered it. And her father was very angry and beat her up. So she went and reported the father, and the police came for the father. So when the father went to the police station, he asked them if they have children. Of course, some of them had children, and he asked them what they would do if their children squandered school fees, which they had worked so hard to earn. And he told them that if they think that they can be better parents to the child, wacha abaki huko, kwa sababu huku kwake hatakaa with that behavior. So it's an incident that I was being told. I don't know how true it is, but the policeman ended up siding with the parent rather than with the child. So for us, it's still, the enforcement is still not very strong. But like I said, I appreciate that there are situations where children really go through a lot. But I also think there should be a leeway for parents to guide their children, and family have room to do it family, because if we are borrowing this from other societies, you find that most of them are really, they are broken. I mean, you should copy something that has worked for people, not something that has failed or that is threatening to, has torn the moral fabric of their society. You copy what has helped. My view is that this too much freedom for children in other parts of the world hasn't, in my view, helped. In fact, it has resulted in very unruly individuals being raised. That is my view, though, as I said. Yeah, I don't know whether I can talk about balance at this point. I'll wait for you, Lynn, to tell me when it's the
Yes,
right time.
yes, go ahead,
So,
kindly.
so on this one, it's quite it's I wouldn't give a one sentence answer. Instead, I would propose that if this team is interested, we can have a talk with you on love and courtship and finances in marriage. As I'm trying to encourage you not to regard those talks as for married people who are getting married tomorrow. They can be packaged for you, for you who just want to know what really happened. And you have these questions and you're interested in how people do it, because some of those things require a little bit more time for it to be properly communicated. But agreeing on roles, maybe if I could just summarize very, very much, agreeing on roles and responsibilities in the family helps, in the sense that we know for us the gender roles, especially in the African setting, is the man is considered to be the provider. So you'll find that he will be inclined to take the heavier roles, in terms of maybe he'll opt to pay school fees, pay rent, and so on. Maybe the wife, because you are also working, you're also earning an income. To be fair and to have that balance, you could take up buying food stuff or something else. So you share the roles very clearly, so that everybody knows their responsibilities. We live in a time. We are living in times within which it should be a joint decision. If one of you should decide to be a stay-at-home mom or dad, you should decide jointly, because the cost of living is high. So you need to decide together that I would suggest you decide together that, okay, fine, let me stay at home and take care of the children. You go to work if it comes to that. Otherwise, most couples compromise. We both work and then we share the responsibility. If you read Proverbs 31, is it 31:10, the truly capable woman or wife, even the Bible does not encourage us to just laze around and receive handouts from our husbands. You need to, I think that a wife needs to be also resourceful in a way. It can be something small that you earn. You could be running an enterprise or something, but be supportive of your husband. Have some contribution to the family income. It's a good thing to be able to do that. But it's a discussion that can take time. About the buying tomatoes and onions, Pascal, I would say that has to be an agreement between couples. I remember when I was newly married, there are things which my husband expected me to do, which my sisters-in-law said they would never, never, ever. Like, maybe we were up country and he wanted me to and I was willing to carry his water to the bathroom. But my sisters-in-law, who are also married, thought that was too much. Why should you carry water for your husband to the bathroom? The way up country is. And my mother-in-law, I remember saying, this is between you and your husband. If you agree that it's something that you're willing to do it. If you don't agree, again, it's between the two of you. So don't try to pick what others are doing and then bring it to your family. So where I find that a lot of people go wrong in courtship, they're not honest. They're not open with each other. So you find, Pascal, maybe when you're during courtship, if it's a day when you've been invited for lunch, you're willing to buy the tomatoes. You see, the message you're passing is that you don't mind buying the tomatoes. Then when you're married, you start complaining that she expects me to. You see, so it's good to be open. When during courtship, communicate very openly. To the girls, Valentine's Day was the other day, and it's a day that whose discussion can take, I think, a whole day because of the pressures that sometimes men feel. The ladies expose them to pressures of what people expect to happen on that day. But again, I would recommend openness, about some of those things. If you like flowers and you like chocolates, and perhaps the person you're in love with has some reservations, I mean, have a middle point. You can meet somewhere in the middle about these things, but don't expect the man to read your mind, for example, that you would like to get a card or flowers, chocolates. Then when they don't come, you say he's not romantic, he's not caring. So the point I'm trying to make is, let there be open communication, especially during courtship, because that's where you have a chance to really open up and talk about your likes and your dislikes and so on. On the issue of this LGBT, Father Steve, I wish, because there is this, I consider it a deception. Maybe that is a strong term, but it's perverted values and beliefs, really, because maybe that is something that Father can talk about. But I agree that it's a real challenge that is with us. I haven't heard anybody talk about abortion. Lynn, maybe as
Yes,
I feel,
yes.
I think that campaign has become very strong in Kenya. The other
Uh,
day I saw on Facebook a page by I think Mary Stopes or somebody showing a young girl and a young man who just carried out a pregnancy test, and the tests seem to be positive, and they're saying, don't worry, don't stress yourself, we are here to help you. So, I mean, it goes back to your catechism, your values, your faith, your belief in the sanctity of life. I think it's a very fundamental thing. You need to really know where you stand with some of these things, as I said, before they happen. Asante, Lynn.
Thank you so much. Guys, we are almost leo tumeongea. But I'm loving the discussions that are coming in. And Mercy, we will definitely take you up on just organizing sessions where even us we can be taken through the sessions. I know for a long time, personally, I thought whenever we hear marriage encounter or whatever, all these sessions happening, it was for married people. So I'd stay away. But it's good to learn that even us we can attend. Yeah. So
Or you can also have your own sessions on your own. I mean,
yes,
if you like, if it's more comfortable, yeah.
yes, I think it's prudent that we organize for sessions. Yes, our own sessions also, so that we get the best of both worlds either way. Um, let me read this chat. Enoch says that there's a time I was speaking. No, that was before. Can someone address this, please? You meet comrade, try to correct the comrade maybe of what he or she did or has put on. Then the fellow answers, concentrate on your life, not mine. To me, I think we live as a family in any community. Should we correct each other? Hey, hizo ndo vitu I think mi nasema nimemiss. I miss community parenting. Ile design yenye ungefanya makosa kama ulikuwa nje ya kina nani, mama nani ako na free will ya kukupunish hapo, alafu pia uende kwenyu ukuwe punished. But yes, I feel like as a friend, we do have, can I say, tunaambiwanga be your brother's keeper. So I'd say we have a responsibility. But then again, one thing that I usually say, sometimes even correction comes with the person's willingness to take the correction. So sometimes you can just say it, whatever you think they did wrong, and leave it. I feel like at that point you have done, that's me, I may be wrong, but I feel like just do it. They may not take it at that time, but it's a thought you've actually put in their mind. Yeah, that this is what Nani thinks about when I do this. Just, it's like a trigger. You start a chemical, ni kama unaanzisha chemical reaction somewhere. For some people that might take days, some people that might take hours, some people that might take years. But I feel like it is, we should do something about it. Yeah. Other thoughts? And I think we should be coming to an end also. Father Steve, what do you think? Father, Val, Aya. Brother Steve, and Pascal, we can start preparing on the closing remarks. Also Agui Val. Yes. So Pascal, since you're my fellow co-host.
So Lynn,
Yes.
so closing
For
remark.
a while.
Huh?
For a while nilikuwa dhania niko monologue. Uh-huh.
Closing remark nasema aje? Mimi kwa dhani nimemaliza.
Nilikuwa nataka Father Steve aongee and then I'll we close it. And
Okay,
then
so
but
alafu
I think I'll post the link so that
yeah,
whatever ideas you have, just put
yeah,
them there.
okay.
Yeah, I'll put the link. Let me even share it right now to everyone.
But as I finish,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know everybody, I'm running the CJPC Lenten campaign 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So the very many materials that you're seeing around is from yours truly. So anyway, so the campaign will run for the next 5 years. So you can just use the hashtag Lenten Campaign 2021. It cuts across every platform, both on Twitter, Facebook. There's also a website, CJPC. You'll get everything there. So it's developed for you. You can read. There are a lot of good stuff that you can read, things to reflect on, and moments to have examine our conscience and everything else. And I also want to thank Miss Mercy. Where sasa at least kulikuwa na mzazi, so at least it does not sound like we are biased in any way. And I think she has real wealth of knowledge in that experience.
Yeah.
Bana maji ni vizuri by the way. So thank you and have a blessed night.
Thank
you
you.
very
Thank you.
much. Thank you for having me also. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Father.
Father. Tunakuota, tunakuhitaji maombi ya mwisho.
Podcast.
Ati Pascal?
Anza kwa melala by
Yeah, okay. I'll say the prayers, then we can just follow the link. It will also be shared. It was shared in the youth groups, but we will still share. So just write your views. I know there's a lot we've picked today, and as we look forward to next week's session. But please, this time, tusiangushe masi. Unaona venye ame come through for us. Acha tupatiane maoni yetu. Yes. So yes, Enoch. Enoch, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
Though this is my first time to be in the platform, I've gained.
Yay.
Do you get me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. This was my
Thank
first
you.
time to be in the platform,
Mm-hmm.
and I've gained some knowledge about what is going on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome. Karibu tena na tena na tena.
Na inakaa father amelala kwa kiti.
Very true.
Father amelala kwa kiti.
Very true.
He was online and they just went like that.
He's still online.
But it is good. There is a time he was online and I was sitting next to him. That's when I heard about the link thing, the Zoom meeting, and from there I just wanted to join and get what was going on. Asanteni sana na muwe na usiku mwema.
Here wewe. Here wewe.
Asante.
Karibu tena. Sasa juu umeunmute, tuombe maombi ya mwisho.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Lord God, we thank you for the gift of this evening that we've discussed things pertaining to our families. May you always embrace our families, that through the families we may find happiness in our lives. Lord, we pray that you may touch each and every family, the single families, and all the families all over the world. May you always be with them, guiding them in everything that they need in their daily life. Whenever they go down to their knees praying for your help, Father, may you always be with them. Always listen to their prayers and provide for them anything that they need in their life. Lord, we pray for mazao ya familia yao, so that everything that comes out from their family may be something that helps them positively. We pray all this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you guys for your participation. Bye,
Night.
Marcy.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.
Good night.
Aya. Nyinyi wote mnaweza jiunmute. Msalimiane. My people. Yeah. Aya, Brian, how are you? Rose, how are you? Madeline. Okay, I love that name. How are you?
Is it a saint name?
Swali muhimu. Madeline tujibu.
Yeah, it's a saint name.
Which date are we celebrating it? Hapo nimeenda sana. Hapo hapo nimeenda sana. Ama tuanze na Pascal, yake inakuwa celebrated which date?
Pascal, tujibu hiyo.
Ashaenda. Pascal
Anyway,
ashaenda, amekuacha kwa hiyo mtego.
nakwambia. Guys, I feel like leo tumeongea sana, twendeni tukalale, then we catch up next Thursday kama kawaida. Tag someone, tag a friend. Next week tunaongelea the youth. Tag a friend, tag a friend. Sawa sawa? Hey, Kaimadhi iko. Oh, sorry. Umeenda wapi? Good night, Rose. Uh, good night, my people. Mimi nimeondoka. Val, good night. Madeline, good night. Fran, good night. Rose, good night.